After the Great Assembly, the dream that I had of the dragon setting fire to everything started changing. Instead of watching people burn, or trying to save people from being burned, I saw the dream from a different perspective. I was the dragon, setting fire to everything. And as much as I wanted to stop myself, I couldn't. It stirred me to the point I ran, and I decided to leave the province to visit my grandparents. My grandfather during this time had terminal cancer. He told me he just wanted to live long enough to be able to celebrate his 50th anniversary and spend it with my grandmother. He also told me the importance of leaving a legacy, so it inspired me to do the right thing no matter what the cost. As I began to do my psychoanalysis on the Lucifer series, I started to notice the well-crafted lies hidden within the messages of the series, the subliminal messages that turns people closer and closer to the dark side. I noticed that it had a specific effect on people, especially those undergoing depression, oppression, or those with satanic upbringings. So I realized it was like a call out into the world to bring them closer and closer. Like it was like turning more people slowly into slaves, like a sort of gaslighting. So I knew something had to be done. I knew full well this was one of Lucifer's traps to enslave more people, just like he did with the casino. And someone had to have the courage to take a stand for the truth, regardless of what the cost or what people would say. So with a heavy heart, I accepted the fate the Lord had for me. I made a summary of the Satanic and the Holy Bible. It had mixed reviews. Some people were really blessed by it, some people were really freaked out by it. I released it into the world, to both the Christian world and the Satanic world, fulfilling the first task that I had to do. I then brought my discovery to the deliverance team, where they encouraged me that I should wear the armor of the Lord as I do this specific task. Because if I don't wear the armor of the Lord, I would easily be consumed by the darkness and the lure that it brings. They told me, "Go forth and do the will of the Lord, young prince." I had no idea what they meant at that time, so I didn't bother to ask. I was just focused on my present goal. Later on, I would hear very disturbing news. The same friends that abandoned me, left me for dead, were using the Bible as an excuse to further their lies, causing even more damage to people. It made me so angry inside and made me question the Lord. And these people were serving in church. So I asked myself, Lord, what does it really mean to be a follower of you? A few days later, I would bump into my old friend in the academy. I would later find out she was a witch. I just didn't know it back then. But after everything that's happened to me, I really wasn't surprised. Then she told me about she was about to get kicked out of the university and was abandoned by her friends so she had nowhere else to go. It really touched me because it reminded me of myself back then when I was at a loss during college. I decided I gotta help her. So I tried to help her out with her appeal at the academy. The appeal will have its ups and downs, and during one of its lowest moments, she would go to me, down and broken, saying, I'm so stressed. I just don't want to do this anymore. Take me anywhere. I was a very tempting moment because at that moment it felt like the first time I got seduced into the dark side, but I realized this is an opportunity to do the right thing. So instead of falling in, I decided I'm gonna use this opportunity to bring her to a Bible study where she could learn about the Lord and perhaps find encouragement in God. After this appeal failed, it will even make me question my faith in the Lord even more because, like, Lord, I brought this struggling person to you so you can help this person, so you can reveal your glory to her and to me as well. But instead, it feels like you just abandoned her and me to this situation. Like, Lord, I was really, really confused. I would later encounter this old man who kept giving me gemstones, like the ones that I used for those necklaces. I'll eventually learn that just like how the Sith use their lightsabers, the kyber crystals, basically, you have to channel all your anger, all your hate, all your distrust, and all your negative emotions. Using that will help you really access the dark side. As I learned to channel my hate and my anger, there was one night I had this weird vision of a door, a huge door that was over 100 feet high. It was red. Then something was asking me. I could feel the whisper saying, "You will find your answers that you are searching for only if you open this door." And when you open this door, you will finally have the power that you need to rescue those people. Then I asked myself, Lord, I am so confused. Who are you really, Lord? Show me who you are. And to the point I was so desperate and so confused, I was like, you know what? Fine. Satan, Lucifer, I want to give you your shot. Show me who you are as well. Show me both of you. I want you both to show me your truth, your lies. Show me who's the most powerful among you both. So then I let the doors open and let the darkness and the light in. Know this, when doing deals with the devil, he will always require a sacrifice, so you can use it to manipulate you later on. What he asked from me, saying this, your friends sacrifice you to protect the lie, so you should sacrifice them as well to protect the truth. I was like, what do you mean sacrifice? I ain't killing anyone. But he said, no, don't kill them. Let them live long enough to see and feel the pain of what they caused you. If I'm honest with myself, I didn't want them to die. I wanted them to feel the pain that they've caused me. I wanted them to suffer as long and as slowly as possible. But deep inside, the Christian in me was like, Lord, I don't want this to happen because what would I gain? If they suffered and if they died, that wouldn't solve anything. I would still be lost and hurt. So I was like, Lord, I'm so confused. What came next was the most painful experience I've ever experienced in my life. Like a rushing wind, it felt like multiple demons entered my mind. Like an automatic drill from my head all the way down to my heart, filling the rest of my body. It's like I was being impregnated with darkness. Like the mentors hovering around me, sucking out the very life out of me. And I thought I would not survive this. I thought I would honestly die at that point. So I got my Bible, put it close to my heart, and I listened to my headphones. I played the audio Psalms of King David, and I played it over and over throughout like it took me around 7 nights, I think. I got sick, I felt feverish, so I clung to the words of the Lord sung by King David to get me through those times of darkness. I would eventually recover from the sickness and I would continue on my journey for the search of truth. There would be this witch family. The wife would ask me, could I please help her husband in trying to figure out some things? So I decided, why not? I'll check it out. So when I talked to the husband, he would be like, I need to find ways to defend my family from being attacked by this certain person. I warned him of the dangers about going into the dark arts, that doing so you give the enemy control over your life, but you can also go to the Lord where his love and protection will protect you and your family. But I didn't hide to him the facts that sometimes you may be disappointed and not truly understand the Lord's ways. I don't know what he did after, but I knew I gave him the options. It was up to him to make his decision on what to do. I would later on encounter this other witch girl, who happened to be the wife of one of my old mentors growing up. I realized that she had magic background. For some reason, she was led to talk to me, so I got to talk to her and hear her story out. I got to hear the news about how the church has really hurt her and her husband instead of being the ones that they could have went to during these times of trials and pain. They were the ones who cast them out and leave them out into the world to suffer. So it made me even question my faith and what I believed in even more. I was so confused and not sure what to do, but offered my friendship and my acceptance because, to be honest, that's all I could give at that moment. One thing that you should really know about being involved in the dark arts or the satanic world, you will be placed with a devil's mark. Meaning, if you do not follow the wishes of the Dark Lord, it will burn you or freeze you. It will cause you so much pain. And I have been constantly violating his command. I would later hear further devastating news that my grandfather, someone who truly understood me and everything, someone who I had truly opened up to after my mother's death, was dying from lung cancer. I really struggled with this even more. I was like, Lord, I'm doing your will, and Lord, are you really gonna take away another close person in my life? Then he told me, trust me, Just like I carried your mother home to my arms, I will do the same with your grandfather. But I want you to continue doing my will and to trust me even during these hard times. Going through my grandfather's funeral was very painful for me because I knew my grandfather wanted to live long enough to celebrate his 50th anniversary with my grandmother. So in his place, I decided to honor his wishes by celebrating their anniversary in the place of my grandfather. During the wake, two of my friends with a background in magic arrived. You know, I got to bond with them and talk to them, and I was able to say, I'm sorry I can't do much for either of you, but what I can do is I can, like, bring you two together. At least, even though the world may be dark and cold, at least at the end of the day, you have friends that you can actually be there for you. Because I knew how it felt like to be abandoned by my friends, and it was funny because this all happened in a graveyard. So it was quite weird. But even at this moment, I would be reminded by my failures because someone would steal my blood contract that I hid in my Bible at that time. I was like, Lord, so much messed up things are going on. Help me. I would then be invited to a birthday party of one of my African basketball player friends. So I decided, hey, after everything that's happened, I just need, time to get loose, to shake off what I'm feeling and just relax. So when I went to his birthday, like a star that lights up the darkest of nights, like a wind that takes your breath away, I would encounter the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of beautiful women. But it was more than her beauty. There was something about her that was so captivating that I didn't really understand at the time. And considering everything that was going on, I was like, I have nothing to lose. I'ma go up and say hi. So I did. The funny thing is, normally when a man meets an amazing woman he's attracted to, he would often tell great things about himself or try to impress her. I did the exact opposite. I don't really know why. I just started opening about some of my failures, my regrets, and for some reason she didn't really judge me at all. I actually wanted to see her more, but she was like, if you wanna catch up, see you in church. And that really made me like, what? Church? That's the last place I wanna be in. Then we parted ways as we both went our separate ways home. I would then continue on my journey for the search for truth. I would eventually bump into some of my witch friends again, and they would begin their training in the art of seduction. Basically, what they would do, they would learn the best ways to seduce men, to earn, to make a living. And I got to interview some of them because I'm not really a judgmental guy. I want to know the background and why they do those sort of things. I realized because of how society is run, it forces people to do things they don't even want to do. And it really got me in the heart saying, one day I want to do something, be something, so I can help these people so they don't have to go to resort to these kinds of work ever again. All of these heavy questions made me search deeper and deeper to find the truth. I would look into history to do some research. I looked into Anton LaVey, Aleister Crowley, two of the most renowned Satanists of all time. And to my shock, I would discover that they did grow up in church. And I'm like, how did they turn so evil? I realized one of the main reasons was that because of the hurt that they experienced in church, it turned them and they were manipulated to serving Satan or Lucifer. It really bothered me. And to the point I was able to discover who was the greatest Satanist of all time. It would be no other than King Solomon, son of King David, man after God's own heart. It really shocked me and struck me to the bone. I made a separate video on that. You should check it out. King Solomon's mental demise. It shocked me, how does the wisest man of all time turn from the Lord after experiencing God himself? So it made me question, and I searched to the point I discovered something really devastating, was that Solomon had a lot of children because he did have 1,000 wives after all, and they spread out across the world. Those among his children who shared his blood, his demons would be passed on, as well as some of his talents, which would be having a skill with dealing with people from around the world, deep wisdom, authority, leadership skills. Then I would discover the truth that I never wanted to find out, just like Kylo Ren in Star Wars. The demons of Solomon has been every voice that I've ever heard inside my head, leading me and leading me closer into the dark side. I was in denial at first. How can I be related to an Israeli king? I was born in the Philippines. Then I would search towards history and I would realize during World War II, the 1,300 Israelites came to the Philippines because of Manuel L. Quezon and the open door policy. Then I would connect the dots. I would take several IQ tests, realizing I had a 160 IQ. Wisdom and high IQ are gifts by those bestowed upon the same bloodline, as well as the dark leanings towards demons. And that would explain why there's so much witches in my life. They would be attracted to the darkness I had in me. Darkness I never knew. I was always in there. I would then meet multiple delegates from around the world, which would help me increase my knowledge in world history and how the world works, how certain world powers acquired their power and how they would maneuver their way. Another noteworthy experience that I want to share, there was this high priestess pagan witch from the States. She noticed what I was doing, that I was like trying to share the word of the Lord with some of their fellow witches, that she would eventually challenge me to a duel to fight. Eventually, it was tough for me because like I wasn't sure if I would try to rely on the strength of the Lord or use my new revelations that I was a grandson of the greatest Satanist of all time. What I would do, I would really struggle, but I would eventually use the will of the Lord and the things I learned in the Bible to help me survive that particular attack. I would then be introduced to multiple cults and covens from around the world. It really made me question what is right, what is wrong anymore. I honestly didn't know. After all these worldviews that were going through my head, and to be honest, there was also this certain ambition in me, and I felt like if I was descendant of one of the greats of all time, the feeling that I had to live up to them, it really bothered me inside. I would also continue going to church because part of me, I always wanted to continue seeing that amazing woman, even if it was just for once a week, for like 1 hour. I treasured every moment because like I was learning so much from her. One of the abilities that I've gained from my time serving in the Satanic Witch Force was an ability to see certain things. And I could see in this woman that she had this great darkness and pain in her life. But when I looked at her life, I could see a consistent record of choosing to follow God. And she had pain, but she was choosing the light. It made me ask her, how do you continuously choose to do the right thing in spite of everything? She reminded me that I have a choice to do the right thing. So I was really inspired by that, and I ended up questioning myself, and I decided to ask help from my mentors again. I was torn inside because I knew the strength and the power that the Satanists and Lucifer had, and I feared what would be done for me if I turned my back on them. The darkness in me was becoming so great. News of my victories have spread far and wide that even some Satanists were afraid of me. But my darkness would grow so deep within that even my close friends, after all those years, would start doubting me and saying, "Bro, you have to open your eyes to see what you're becoming." But I was so blinded in my hate and darkness, I didn't know what to do. And the Lord would try to reach out to me through my mentors. But I was so stubborn and lost in my own ways, believing this was my destiny. Being of the same bloodline of Solomon, I had to succumb to the darkness within. Then they told me, "Is this your destiny? Or is this a destiny someone tried to force upon yourself? You must ask yourself the real questions. Who are you and what do you want? Remember why you did all of this. Remember why you started searching for the truth. You wanted to learn the lies of the Satanists, not become like them." I told them, "I see through the lies of the church. I want to know the truth." Then they told me, "You have become the very thing you wanted to destroy." I would eventually leave them for now, for the moment, because I wanted to find the truth for myself. But when I was alone, that's when they came even more. They offered me a chance to join their great organization with connections that would spread worldwide, multinational companies, and help me access to fully maximize my great darkness. But to enter, I needed to make one more sacrifice, the ultimatum. One, I knew the Lord was impressing on my heart again. to sponsor a church. I was like, Lord, again? Last time I sponsored a church, great disaster happened to me. It led me into the dark. It led me into the casino. Then you want me to do it again? I really struggled with it. And what Lucifer asked was for me to approve the death of one of my traitorous friends, one of the person who lied and betrayed me. I really struggled with that decision. In my brokenness, I was so lost. I would go to church trying to find answers. Then I would see that amazing person one more time, but something seems different about her today. She wasn't her normal, cheerful, joyful self. She seemed really broken, and I could see that she was going through something really dark and really painful, and I didn't really know what it was. So I would observe her from afar, wondering what was wrong, because I wasn't sure how to approach her at that time, and I myself was in a complete mess. But what I did see her do, she would pray, and she would seek the Lord in spite of her pain and everything. And just seeing her example, she didn't really need to speak any words to me, but watching her example, it inspired me to do the same. And then it gave me enough strength to do what I know I needed to do. I would have to confront the darkness of my own past and entrust it to the Lord. So with a heavy heart, I decided, Lord, I'm broken and I don't understand, but I'm gonna trust you. It was painful, but as a sign and declaration of me trusting my past pain and trusting my future to you as well as my present, I decided no matter what happens, I would sponsor the church again at the church again, even though it would hurt me so much. But not only would I decide to sponsor the church, I would also decline the invitation to join that organization. And as well as I would refuse to take vengeance on my friends who betrayed me, even though I knew deep down that they deserved everything. As I began the process of redemption, it was really hard because my demons would whisper and scream in my ears, reminding me of who I became, what I've done. Getting rid of some of the demons would be really hard because some of them are pretty high ranked and required fasting and humbling myself before the Lord. It would take 7 days to remove some of them, but by God's grace, I was victorious. The process of removing some of my demons would require fasting. I needed to truly humble myself for 7 days before the Lord, acknowledging that only He is my Savior and salvation. It was really painful at times, but I knew in the end it would be worth it. One of the toughest struggles that I had to go through was acknowledging what I became during my search and my journey to find the truth. It was really hard to admit to myself what I've become. I become the very dragon that I dreaded in my dreams. Coming before the Lord was really embarrassing, really painful, but I know it needed to be done. Like a lion, like the mighty Aslan, he arrived. I looked down on my shame, unable to look at him in the eye, while the enemy kept screaming at me, reminding me of what I've done. With a mighty roar, he shut out all the lies of the enemy. And with his mighty claws, he peeled away all the scales of what I've become. Then he looked at me with his loving gaze. Just like Zuko when he came to apologize to Uncle Iroh. I've always felt like I had to make an impossible choice. What kind of person would I become where I place my identity in? Lord, I am so ashamed of who I am and what I've become. I'm not even worthy to be called your son, to be called a follower, especially after all I've done. But in spite of that, he took me in his loving arms and hugged me and embraced me, acknowledging me as one of his own. Then I learned and I realized the Lord is worth searching for, living for, and eventually dying for. I honestly don't know what my future holds, but I know who holds my future. And I'm willing to trust the Lord with all my pain, my past, my present, and my future. Because I've seen joy and I've seen regret, but you have been my God through all of it. Even in the darkest valleys, in spite of all the failures and pain, you never left my side, despite the countless times I took you for granted. As I stand here today, I look back and I'm in awe of your faithfulness. I would have never made it this far if it wasn't for your grace. As I end this chapter in my life, I want to bow and give the spotlight to the one who deserves all the glory and praise, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And that ends the tales of Draco Morningstar, the Dragon Prince.